What's up, y'all? My name is Mary. We are coming at you from Eastside Studios here in downtown Austin. We got Rich, we got Kayleigh, and we got Tommy here today. Super stoked to have y'all here. We are here to celebrate the release of Rich's NFT, first collection, right?
Yep, first drop.
First drop is tomorrow, 12 p.m. Before we get into all this, we got some good shit for you today. I'm really excited. I want to give a shout out to Eastside Studios. If y'all need a podcast studio, recording studio in downtown Austin, be sure to check them out. Also, shout out to Mission Labs. They are in charge of the entire minting process and really all of it for the NFT process.
Yeah.
So they've been really great for like up and coming artists who want to get into this space but don't necessarily know how or who to talk to. They're great. So reach out to them. Again, that's Mission Labs. On that note, with the drop tomorrow, if you want to be involved, if you want to get a hold, there's 5 pieces of art that are dropping tomorrow. Each piece has 20 prints and one original, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And in order to get that, you got to go to nfts.richesart.com. That's nfts.richesart.com.
Yep.
That's the only way you're going to be able to have access, and it's super limited. And then, of course, we got you, Rich. How you feeling today?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. I'm excited to be here.
I love it. I also want to shout out to your studio, your gallery downtown. Y'all have done an incredible job of just like uplifting the community, constantly have events going on. So if you haven't checked it out, downtown East Austin, absolutely go. Kayleigh, Tommy, what's up? How y'all feeling?
We're good.
How's it going?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get into how y'all know each other. Just quick before like we get into that, I will say we're going to be doing this over the next 4 weeks, correlating with 4 NFT drops for Rich. So that's 5 pieces of art. Yeah, each week, right?
Yeah.
So tomorrow it's 12 p.m. and then next week it's Wednesday at 12 p.m. Like in all the corresponding ones.
And part of the proceeds of every sale goes to the Gallery Scholarship Fund.
Amazing.
To support our Young Creators Art Show in September.
Woo! And y'all got the 1-year anniversary coming up, right?
Yep, 1 year. It feels like 5.
Honestly. I mean, with the amount
one.
of events y'all do, it's like you would have told me 10.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I can't wait to sleep again in my life. It's gonna be
What the
nice.
fuck is sleep, honestly?
Right, for real.
All right, so Rich, I got to know, how do you know Kayleigh and Tommy?
Tommy in particular, we were raised together. We went to elementary school together.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't become like best friends until after high school. And Kayleigh actually started working for my family at our coffee shop in our little town. And when I came back from football, and we became best friends.
Oh, I love it. So did y'all like live together at some point? I felt like I had heard that.
Yeah,
All
we
three
made
of us.
we made a genius idea for all of us to get a house, and
And how was that?
it was a lot of crazy stories.
Yeah, I bet. Did you start doing art like when you lived there, or when did you kind of start that journey?
Yeah, barely. Our first house that we had together, I pulled a little bin up next to my bed and sat on the edge of my bed and painted every now and then, and would like ask them like, "What do you guys think of this?" You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Not often. Like, it was just random. It
Yeah.
wasn't, like, the biggest focus or passion at the
Not
time.
at all. I was still trying to make it to the NFL.
Oh, you were still like huge sports guy.
Yeah. I was still playing football overseas, pro, trying to make it. You know, so.
I feel that.
So he would be gone, like, 4 months to 6 months a year. So we would live, all 3 of us. So me and Tommy would stay in the house, and he would go and come back and go and come back and go and come back.
Just when we're getting sick of him, that's when he'd
Yeah.
go overseas.
Sounds like the perfect
Bye.
scenario.
Need a break.
Yeah,
Bye.
straight up. So wait, when did the art thing really shift? Like, when did you be like, okay, I'm gonna fucking do this?
I actually had a vernissage, which in German is a solo exhibition in Germany, at a gallery there at the end of the season. And it went amazing. I was the like best-selling artist ever at this gallery. And right then and there, I was like, man, I might have something.
I gotta do this.
You know, end up making the website and Instagram and all that kind of stuff and ran with it.
Did you know then you wanted to have a gallery?
Honestly, I've always wanted to have my own space like that. Ever since I was little, my parents, my mom, family always took us to really cool little jazz spots, and we went to art galleries and we toured everywhere, and it was always a thing of mine. I thought it was a bar, maybe a bar and a gallery at the same time, but what I have now makes a lot more sense than that.
So for y'all, I mean, he was going and then coming back all the time. When were you like, oh, you've really been focusing on your art? Like, when did you start to see him really dive into that?
I think it was when he came back and he had the art show in Germany. We had just moved into our second house together, and it was a big house.
It was a mansion.
Yeah, it literally was like this 4-bedroom, like 4-bath. It
Biggest
was
house
huge.
I've ever lived in.
We were on
Still.
an acre of land. Our neighbors were all like 90. But we had it was the best house. And when he
We had a
came back,
racist neighbor.
Oh,
yeah,
there's always
we had-
one.
Yeah,
at
but
least.
he was like also really nice, and he was
Maybe
super.
to you.
Well, he was super confused. He thought I was with
real
both of
confused.
them.
What did he call me to you one time?
That colored boy.
He's
he
a colored
said-
boy that lives with y'all.
He said, "Where's he been?" And I said, "Well, he went overseas." And he was like, "Well, I really would like for him to come back." We were like, "All
For
right."
why?
We don't
We
know.
were
He was
friends.
so
We were
nice.
friends.
Like he was cool.
Oh, it's just like in
He
his
would, like-
time. It's like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
That's
he would
a
even
term of
like
endearment.
mow over into our side of the yard and always check on us. Like when we first moved in, he was like, "Oh, this girl has 2 husbands or 2 boyfriends." Like he
I
was
mean-
all sorts of confused. He thought both of them were my husband.
2020, you know?
Yeah, it was amazing. But he came back from that season. He usually came back about September or October. It just depended on if they went into playoffs. And I remember that Christmas, and I think that you would agree, he got like 4 or 5 commissions, which at that time was like
Amazing.
quite a bit, and I remember even he was painting Christmas Eve. And our families spend a lot of holidays together because my parents are close to his parents and everything. So he was actually painting on Christmas Eve when my mom was there, her painting, and she kept asking him about the painting. But that's when I really remember he started taking everything a lot more seriously. And not that at that time that the football, like, took a back seat, but art became more important. That, like, that's when the art shows started.
It became a passion.
Yeah,
it was a lot-
It was, yeah.
It was a lot more important, or he was wanting to do it more.
Yeah, incredible. So, obviously, the art started then, but this series is erotic art.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are so many incredible pieces. And when did you decide that you wanted to showcase that? Like, when did that become a thing for you, and how?
I was always kind of like barely dipping my feet into that pond. I've always wanted to do it, but and this is why we're here. It's frowned upon in a lot of communities. It's taboo. I didn't think my following from sports or family would appreciate that type of art. I didn't think the world would appreciate it, or people would be offended by it, and I didn't want to offend people. So I just kind of buried that motivation. But as I kept doing art, I just constantly things I were painting started to get more and more risque, year and year. And then I finally was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and I did it. And the world responded so positively to towards the paintings, and I haven't stopped.
So, did it correlate with because the theme for this week is freedom and expression, and so. Did you find that you started to do more of these erotic art and these erotic paintings correlating with like your own expression and like sexuality and your own kind of diving into that? Like
Yeah, 100%. You start to look at sex as an art form. And you start to analyze everything that goes into it, to your communication, to how people present themselves, everything, to anything you can think of, to what a person wears, their upbringing, everything becomes kind of like a psychoanalyzation of it. And yeah.
What was the first piece that like inspired you to draw like erotically? Like what was it, a person? Was it an experience? Was it
seeing other erotic art my entire life was a huge inspiration. I followed a lot of them on Instagram, still to this day. But yeah, you get that every day. For me in particular, women, you see art every day, and it makes you want to paint it. So.
Straight up. So were y'all living together when you kind of started painting more of these stylistically?
So Tommy moved out, and we continued
married.
to live together for another 3
That's one of
years.
those
Yeah,
steps
that was
you gotta
like,
do,
yeah. So he
gave
moved
up
out.
on the dream. Yo.
He moved
Let's
out.
be honest.
Yeah,
He gave up on the dream.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had to break up the 3 best friends. Although we love Taylor and we're so glad she's there. But he moved out, and then we continued to live together for another 3 years.
And that's when it started?
That I would say, well, yeah, I mean a little bit more,
Yeah.
don't you think?
for
Especially
sure.
once quarantine happened. That was a big change. We had gone to Bali for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, right before quarantine. We got back 2 days before the country shut down. And then so we were locked in a house together for, a few months. And then I had back surgery, so we were locked in the house even more. And so he just painted, and I've never seen anything like it because it was just piece after piece after piece after piece. And I noticed that the women got more and more, I wouldn't even say risque because I don't think it's too risque, but it was more, like side boob, more, erotic, more under boob. And then it slowly started like really shifting, in my opinion, to where he is now in his art. Like, I feel like that quarantine was the best thing in the entire world for him.
I mean, still to this day, I feel like there's so much that I have to do because my first erotic piece last year was the first one.
Yeah.
Technically. So, yeah.
Okay, but I've heard that Kayleigh's got some stories from the time that y'all lived together.
We both did.
Y'all better be careful with these stories because I got stories too.
I'm like, we're gonna have to like redact some names.
I'll be good.
Like, we don't want to call anybody
No,
out.
I'm cool. Let's let it
So-
ride. Let's let it ride.
One of my favorites
All right, let's go.
was, he knows where I'm going with this.
We want to write a book. We
So
talked
this
about
has
writing
been the
a
plan.
memoirs.
So probably for the last 8, 9, 10 years, I would say. Probably at least the last 10, especially since we were in college. He'd always come back, and even when we didn't live together, he'd be like, yo, you're never going to guess what happened last night. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck did you do now? So,
You always knew where it was going.
yeah,
too.
we always knew. We always knew.
I like adventures.
And so one of my favorites is on the second story was all of our bedrooms. And I had the master because I'm the only girl. So I always got the master. And then
she's terrible at bathrooms. So
Yeah,
we're
that's
like,
also
at
true.
least
Yeah.
take your own bathroom.
and I'm a mess. So my room was at the end of the hall, and then there was Tommy's in the middle, and then there was Richard's. And I don't sleep. Like, I hardly ever sleep. So I hear like knock, 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 like real light. And it's like 3:30 in the morning. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I thought he was gone. I didn't think he was coming home. He'd been kind of talking to this girl for a while, and she was a little young, but we were like, yeah, whatever.
She was passionate.
So, yeah, she was passionate. Let's put it that way. She was something. And
What does that even
so you'll find out in about 2 seconds. So I'm like, is somebody knocking on my door? And I'm like, what the heck? So I like throw a robe on and I hear 3 knocks again. And I open the door and it's Richard. And he looks like he's just been through like World War III. Like something was going on. So I sit on the floor in the hall and I'm in a robe. It's like 3:30 in the morning. And what people don't realize about Richard, unless you know him, if he's on the phone, if he's seriously thinking about something, he paces. He's like, doom, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Genius.
Yeah, sure. So I sit on the floor and I'm like, what's wrong? And he was like, I just wrecked my car. And I'm like, what are you talking about? At the time, he had his aunt's car too. So he was driving a BMW.
Ooh,
he was like
shit.
super cool convertible BMW,
Yeah, Auntie was
right?
pissed, I'm
but
sure.
then he had the Malibu in front of
My
it. So
car.
it was a big like circle driveway, but on a hill. And apparently he was so upset that he forgot to put the
was a
stick
manual.
shift BMW, the
The
parking
e-brake.
brake on. So his car ran into the back of his other car.
I was flustered, y'all.
And I'm like, what happened? He was like, this girl. And I'm like, what? Apparently this girl, after they had just, done the deed, decided to get into some deep political conversation. And he was like, I don't have the time or the energy for this. He was like, no, we're not going to do this. She kept insisting and kept going. She was that kind of girl, though. We would see the text. She was very persistent. And she threw such a fit that she stood in the middle of an open door to the world, naked, like butt-ass naked, in an X position, wouldn't let him leave the house. So she trapped him there. And he's like, I can't touch her. I can't do anything. I don't want to get in trouble. So he just banged this girl out. She tries to get in a political conversation and then proceeds to have to try to leave. But she's naked, ass out for the world to see, standing in the door, and wouldn't let him leave. So finally he escaped, but he was so pissed and so flustered that he actually ran his car into the back of the other car, but proceeded to have like an hour and a half conversation with me at 3:30 in the morning how
Man.
Just
bitches
don't
are
do
crazy.
politics after
Yeah.
sex.
I mean,
Don't do
not-
politics after
Not
sex.
bedroom
Yeah.
talk, I could
No,
say.
no. I mean, but he would get himself in these positions where he had to like escape because he'd be cornered.
So
or
you have
stuck.
an NFT coming out of like the starfish
We
in
need
front of
to.
the
We need
That's
to,
the-
for sure.
That's number 26.
number 26.
So
Yes, it's
that's
called the
like
starfish.
one of the stories I would put on the side of stateside. But Tommy's got a good one from when they were in Serbia.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
like
so-
now you got to say it.
So I'd go over there and visit Rich like for
Lived
4
in
years
Serbia for
in a
a
row.
while.
He was Serbia for the first 2 years, and go over there when we're out partying. We meet up with a bunch of his friends, hanging out, and he knows this girl that's a singer, and so he's like, I don't want to hang out with this girl because I want to talk to this other girl. No big deal, whatever. But of course, she ends up hanging out with us. We go back. We go back to I guess it's her parents' place, right? Or it's her place.
Yeah.
Oh,
We didn't know it was
man.
her parents' place. And so we're hanging there. We had a couple drinks, hanging out, having a good time. And it's all night. And so I go to bed and it's like 30 minutes before sunrise. And I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm just going to walk home. So right when I leave, I don't know if I told you this part, but her neighbors are outside and they give me the death stare. And they obviously don't know who I am.
Right.
And they're like, who's this guy? And so
Mind you, this is Serbia. There's not a lot of black people in
I'm
Serbia
the only black
either.
person in
so
each.
In
like,
all
Yeah.
of Serbia, actually.
not to
No,
bring, not to
But for sure in the city, I'm the
Yeah.
only one.
so like not to throw that in there, but that does make a difference in
Oh,
this
100%.
story.
Oh, yeah.
So like they would have saw Tommy going out and been
Yeah,
like, oh,
and it's
she's
like-
messing with some guy. They
Yeah.
would have saw me. They'd be like, oh, there's an American.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a neighborhood talk. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure her parents were just
Well,
thrilled.
and I get home, and he ends up coming home, and he's like, "Dude, right after you left, there's loud knocks on the door, and he's asleep, and then her parents come in and like charge the room.
Her mom
and
was about to fight me.
and her mom was
Like,
about
she was
to
pushing
lay him
me.
out
She was pushing, like,
I
cussing
would
at me in
have lost
Serbian.
it. I would have
in
lost it.
Serbian. You're just sitting there confused, like
And I
laying in
was
bed.
like trying to put my clothes
Also,
on.
just like bringing someone home to your parents' home. I mean, that's a whole nother level
Yeah.
of just balls. So, like, clearly, there's been some experiences. There's been some
Yeah, a
things
lot.
you've done, and with this, like, I'm curious now. Has there ever been someone that you've been with that has inspired you to like immediately make art after? You're like, I have to put this on paper.
Oh, 100%. There's 3 in particular in the Watercolor series that are direct inspirations.
And do they know that?
One of them does, 2 of them don't.
The drama.
Yeah, there's some.
Or do they
suspense.
live here? I'm like,
One's overseas.
Okay.
One's here. I guess I could let them know. Possibly.
well, maybe like let them find out. You
Yeah,
know,
true.
That's not up to you.
True.
So, which pieces are those?
There's one called Dinner is Served.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you want me to tell the?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
We're here.
An amazing experience, and I think I actually told you this one before. I was dating a girl. She's awesome too. If she sees this, just say what up.
Shout out.
Yeah.
So I go over to her. She wants me to come over. She said she was gonna cook dinner, so I go over to her apartment, and she answers the door, and she is just in this black lingerie, and she looks absolutely amazing.
Like a fucking meal.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
We love that.
And immediately, just picked her up, sat her on the counter.
Sex in the kitchen. Over by
And she
the road.
whispered in my ear, "Dinner is served." And I was like, "Yes, this is this is what I've been working for my entire
this
life.
is it.
This
This
is
is
I've
pinnacle.
made it. That was his I've made
this
it
is-
moment.
This
That's your
is it.
man in a movie moment.
Right,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
it. So yeah,
there's that one,
There's
and
one
there's-
called Dinner is Served. Poetry in Motion is actually a part of the first drop, and it's about the time I got the best head I've ever got in my life. And
Rest in peace.
yes, and I couldn't help but think while she was doing it that it was beautiful. Like, she's really good. This is a play. This is a poem. This is a beautiful movie. This deserves an Academy Award. This is poetry in motion.
We are here with the award.
Yeah,
so
like-
we actually are. We brought her in. She's backstage
Oh,
right
nice.
now.
Okay, I'm leaving. I'll be back later. Because if I ever saw her again, I'd just probably give her a ring or something.
So was this just like someone random you'd met? Or?
No, we were actually dating a little bit.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
not like officially. It was more like friends with
Talking.
benefits. But it was always the distance thing. I had to come back to America, so I didn't really take it serious. But she's an amazing woman. She's smart, gifted. So
Love that.
yeah.
Okay, so there's that one, and then there's one more that you had mentioned that you're like, I have to create after this.
The third one is let me go through all 20 of these. The third one is I don't have them all on there.
Oh, it's all good.
God dang, there's 20.
There's a
There
lot.
might be 4. It might be 4. Oh yes, there's poetry in motion 2. And that's kind of the reverse of the girl giving fellatio, then the guy giving fellatio. So that's kind of like an image of myself. One, because as I've grown older, I've gained so much pride in like perfecting my craft, I guess you would say. Anything that I do in life, I try to put everything towards it. I want to learn how to be better about it. So you learn how to become a better communicator. You learn how to listen to people's reactions. You learned how to be a better lover. And when getting older and starting to pay attention and learning how you can make a woman tick, I also find that, poetry in motion. So yeah, that would be the third one.
Totally. I mean, just expression in general, right? Like you're saying you get older and you learn like what works. And Tommy, you're married now.
Yes.
So like
Happily married.
yes, we love that. We love that for you. Shout out to your wife. But like obviously there's a difference between like the dating phase and the married phase and like the process of that. And even to just get to be married, there's so much communication involved beyond sexuality. But like, what has the process been for y'all's like intimate relationship? And I'm not asking you to name details, but like, what's that process been like? What do you feel like it requires in order to get to that level of comfort with someone?
Well, it's a buildup of trust beforehand, and it's just a buildup of everything. The marriage, sex life is tough because you're going to deal with all kinds. We just had a baby too, so she's 8 months,
congrats.
and she's the blessing.
Go
We
and
love
so.
her.
And it's just when you find the time, you got to take advantage of it. It might not be something where it's like you're both on a romantic date and you get swept off your feet. It's just like, hey, we're married. One of us is ready, and it's like, okay, right, let's go.
I was like, what do you do to like get your, like you're just like, all right, well, we're here, we're naked, so
Yeah,
I mean, I think the key is staying attracted to your
Yeah.
absolutely.
person you're married
I mean,
to.
just like trying in general. I feel like so many people stop trying.
Yes, and you continually have to try. And for guys, you got to do the dishes. They like it when you do the dishes.
Bare
all right?
minimum, bitch. Like, come on.
You want some tonight? Wash some
Clean.
plates.
Taylor,
Ain't
he's
that the
got to
truth?
clean the cat litter.
Yes.
That's that one.
Yeah,
That'll
yeah.
do it
Now
for
we're redoing the laundry room, so I got to
Let's
paint.
go.
I got to put up some cabinets.
Another baby on the way, baby.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Golden.
I love it. And then Kayleigh, so like for me personally, I mean, growing up, first off, I grew up in the Catholic Church, so that is the pinnacle of just not
y'all
talking
can
about
go all
sex.
day
Where are
on
you
that.
also a Catholic schoolgirl,
No,
baby?
I grew up Pentecostal.
Gosh,
So I did not
yeah.
cut my hair until I was 20 years old. I didn't wear pants till I was 20 years old.
And she lost her mind, y'all.
No.
I mean,
but
yeah, there's like a
kinda.
sexual revolution that happens
but
because you're like,
that's-
oh, we can do this, we can talk about this.
I was also raised by two parents that were, even as religious as we were, very open. I was 7 years old the first time I asked about sex. My mom gave me the complete rundown at 7 years old. My parents' favorite story is she gave me she got a book. She was like, we're going to wait a week. I want to give you the anatomical, how this works. My dad walks in the house after she does that. I was like, I know how I got here. You stuck your thing in mommy's thing, and here I am. He was like, I knew that, and walked off. But it was never taboo, and like, my house, like if I had a question, I could ask a question. So even though I was raised super conservatively, I wasn't unable to ask questions. So I also feel like when I went to college and hit my stride, I mean, I'd never even kissed somebody till I went to college. But like once I got to college, I hit my stride and I was like,
Special.
And she's off.
hold on. But I've never been, even as a young person, shy, I guess, about, like, I'm very comfortable. I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it's because I've never been, like, when I make up my mind to do something, then I'm going to do it. There's no going back. So I've never been uncomfortable, but I totally get, because a lot of my friends that, like, if you're raised super religious, most people aren't given the sex talk. I mean, I think that is such a huge thing that every child needs to experience from their parents. I think that it's one of those things that we don't connect with our kids enough. I mean, you go to Europe and you see boobs on commercials. Like, you're in Germany or on TV. In America, and I think especially in any sort of Christian religion, and I'm not knocking it, but we've made it so taboo that kids now are doing it because they don't even know what they're doing.
Totally.
And so personally for me, I don't think I've ever been shy. Like, if I want to do something, I'm just going to do it. I don't care.
That's amazing.
Like, I probably should be a little more uncomfortable about stuff, but I'm not.
Fuck that. It's just, it's wild, right? Because I think it's so incredible that your parents were religious, you grew up religious, but yet you still had that conversation.
Yeah.
You knew what it was. You knew how to feel about it, or you were able to form your own feelings. And so my parents never talked to me about that. And so for me, like, I ended up learning about sexuality through porn, which is like, fuck.
Bad lesson.
Well, let me also preface that my parents never had restrictions on my reading, no matter how religious we are. I have a deep obsession with trashy romance novels. Like, I have thousands. I collect Harlequin romance novels for fun. I have so many of them. But I didn't tell my mom, even though I was like, you can read whatever you want. And at 10 years old, I started collecting the Harlequin romance novels, and I'd shove them down the side of my bed. And I just had stacks, and I'd shove them under my bed. And my parents believed in privacy, so they never, like, came in and tried to move stuff. But they were surprising me for my 13th birthday. I wanted a yellow room. And they moved my bed, and all of these trashy romance novels fell out. So I feel like I was maybe that's what made me comfortable. I think I just had a realization that it was like, oh, I've been reading sex since I was 10 years old. And I love it. Like, I love it. So between being given information and also, like, more women need to read trashy romance novels.
Yeah, or just, like, have,
in my opinion,
conversations about it in general.
Yeah.
And I think the narrative really is shifting, and I'm so grateful for that. But for so long, it felt like women were to exist for men's gaze.
Oh, 100%.
And I know that for you, that's something that's so important is like, even in your art, this is you're inspired by these women. You're empowered by these women. It's not an objectification whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's incredible, because for me, it's been a process too of just like, I don't exist for anyone else but me. I do this because I like it. It feels good for me. And it's been a journey to get there.
Yeah.
So for you, like, when you're creating art, I mean, there's probably so many overlaps between the process of creating art and the process of, like, being intimate with someone. Like, what is that like for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a direct representation of what inspires you. I was raised by a lot of really strong women, so I think it kind of gave me a default to where what I see as my muse, or what I see as beautiful, is somebody being authentically themselves. I like to say when a woman's unapologetically herself is when she's the most beautiful. And that's what makes humans. I mean, we're all different. We have these beautiful cultures. We have different musics. We have different ways to do art. And that's where it comes from people being different. And I want more women to know that I think that's attractive about you. I want you to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to hide from that. And that is true beauty. That's an inspiration.
Yeah, straight up. And it is great to see that the narrative is shifting, and to see, but it's like, then there's still things that, like,
but I think as a woman, that narrative is continued on through time. I mean, if a guy goes out on a date and ends up sleeping with a girl, it's fine. If a girl does the same thing, it's the end of the world, or it's like he's not gonna like me. And I
Which
think
it's
that
changing.
and I think that it's also one of those things that we need to be very careful about, authentically being ourselves, empowering yourself. If that's something you want to do, that's not going to matter to a guy what you did on the first date, or what you did 10 dates later, or what you did in 90 days. That's not, it's,
Yeah, or with
it's
any
who
partner,
you
guy,
are, or
yeah.
women,
Yeah.
whatever your partnership is. But I think that's an important thing, especially though for women, to remember it's your choice.
Totally.
At the end of the day, it's your choice. Feel empowered in that choice. If you don't like him or her, whatever it is, leave.
Yeah.
But if you do, you shouldn't feel like, well, I need to follow the book of, that Steve Harvey dumb book where it's like, wait 90
Wait,
days,
3
and then you
days,
see, and
4
then
business days.
I mean,
I want my energy to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
You feel that energy, you feel that connection, then
do it.
Yeah.
Or if you want to wait, then wait.
Then wait.
Like,
And
it's
that's totally
your choice.
fine.
Yeah, totally.
But I think that there is an empowerment, and I do think that, like, relating this back to art in a way, that I wish that more women would, like, come and see this erotic art and see what it does for you. Because this is women at their most beautiful. You're most beautiful, you're most vulnerable, and sometimes you're most happy.
And it's not just
Confident.
women too.
Yeah.
But I
You know,
mean,
it's
there's a
everyone.
lot-
However
Totally.
you want to express
Yeah.
yourself. If you're a guy and you're into guys, you're a girl, you're into girls, whatever.
Or anything
you know
in
what I mean?
between. 100%. I think, for you, it's removing the sexuality or like the taboo of sex from it. It's not about that. That wasn't the point. It's like just fully embracing your identity and what makes you feel good, and exploring what that feels like.
Right.
And hopefully
How that's
people
healthy.
Yeah, and hopefully people can see themselves in that. So this, like, do you feel though with this collection, do you feel like you really identify with this collection more than others, or
Yeah, I
just
would
an
say
element.
this is my favorite collection to date right now.
It's hard not to be.
I'm obsessed with it, and there's a lot that inspires me with life, and I shift on what's my favorite series or my favorite paintings all the time. But this one has my heart for now.
I love it.
For sure.
Okay, so switching gears a bit here. What kind of made you take the leap into pursuing NFTs? Like, how did that process even start?
Well, I mean, you start to see stories of artists making money with NFTs. So that's the original.
Let's be real.
Yeah, let me check this out. And then you see how people are minting NFTs, like what they come from, and then you see celebrities just that have done no visual art or whatsoever, anything, and they come out with a digital print that 500 options and people pay a lot of money for them, and it's kind of goes against like the normal visual art, because somebody could screenshot it, they could screen record it, it becomes. But so there's an immediate like negative reaction that comes with NFTs, which always kept me away from it. But actually doing the research, which comes with a lot of things in life, you should always do the research. You find that things are minted with a code. It makes them one of a kind, and you can give a tangible asset to your art, to your NFTs as well. I say this example all the time. If Leonardo, if he had minted the Mona Lisa as an NFT, it sells for $200 million now, and his family or his estate, would still get some of that money every time it sells. And you see that work that way, and you're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. Which is why I tied every one of those NFTs to a tangible piece of art. Right now, I sell mass-produced prints all the time anyway. So therefore, even the print versions of our NFT get a special edition print. So no matter what you're buying, you're collecting fine art, visual art, and NFT at the same time.
Amazing. So what advice would you have for anyone that is trying to break into this space? Because obviously it's everywhere right now. So what's that process been like for you, and what would you tell them if they want to be involved?
I think my process is unique because of you guys, Mission Labs, helping me walking me through the process, educating me on how the Web3 space even works. But now that I know this, I will be able to help artists so much more. And once you see how it works and how the world works and the different platforms that you get on and how you need to speak about it and you need to have a story, it's a lot easier to educate an artist the best way to come out with their own NFT series. It's not that hard, actually. You guys can do it.
I love it. So anything that you want to tell anybody that's interested in collecting your art or these NFTs?
Yeah, I would love for you guys to actually take it in. Each drop has a description that means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to the world. So I would, a lot of time people just gaze by art. It's pretty, but they're not digesting it. I would love for you to take it in, digest it, and know if you do buy this art, it is going back to a good cause and helping get some scholarships to some kids and support the art gallery here in Austin.
I love it. Should we show them real quick? I mean, we don't need to go into every single one.
We got a few.
But of course, I will hold it up for y'all. So which one is this?
This is Hurricane. Funny story about this one. Not funny. It's actually a really cool story.
Make sure you're talking to that guy.
Boom.
We're learning how to podcast.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
We're rookies. But so this one's called Hurricane. So I came up with this ambitious idea. I needed a break. I was going to go to Mexico and finish the rest of the erotic series. At that time, I only wanted to go to 10. And this was like the 8th painting that I did. But I went to Tulum, and it was right when that hurricane just came through there recently. So that night, or that day, went out, had an amazing day. Came home.
I got weak arms.
Yeah. I had some Hennessy, actually, poured it up, had my paint supplies everywhere, music blasting, and I was just having an amazing time. And the wind outside was going crazy because the hurricane's coming in. And it was like this euphoric, just a euphoric night. And a lot of times when I get done painting these watercolors, I set them on the floor to dry, and then I'll pick up another one and start it. Well, I did that with this hurricane one. I did not shut any of my windows and doors. I just fell asleep because I had like a screen on the outside of my Airbnb. Well, the hurricane got to the other side, the wind's reversed, and everything came inside. Well, I woke up like 2 hours later, and my Airbnb was flooded. It was like 4 inches of water in the Airbnb. And this was under it all. It was completely submerged. Jumped up, cleaned up all my art supplies, all my clothes, everything. The property was trash. I mean, this hurricane messed. They took the power out. We didn't have power for like 48 hours. And so all of the different marks that you see on here, a lot of times when you put like clean water on top of watercolor, it displaces the color. And that's exactly what happened. So all of these marks that you see is actually like Gulf of Mexico, hurricane water that created this scene. And I didn't have a name for this one at the time. So it was fitting to call it Hurricane.
Makes sense.
And so,
all right, let's show some other ones as well. And again, these are all available tomorrow at 12 p.m. on the first drop.
Oh, this is the one that started it all. So this is my first erotic painting that I ever painted, and it's called Flower Child. Coined from the 60s and 70s slang called Flower Child, and it's about women empowerment. It's about just being authentically yourself and being beautiful, and it being okay to understand your body,
I just want to jump in on that one because I was there when it blew up on TikTok, and we were literally sitting there actually watching Love Island because it's a deep obsession.
Same.
And it's the best. So we're sitting there, and it starts going crazy. And it's like, this is empowerment. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. Women are commenting it's crazy. TikTok takes it down, and we were like, now, we'd already got like 20 orders in like an hour and a half. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is about to blow up. Take it down. Go through the 3-day process.
Appeal process.
Yeah,
Appeal
appealing.
process. It gets back up and it blows up. We had like over 420 orders in a day and a half.
Amazing.
Like, we were literally sitting there. I had to go buy a printer like to print labels. We were ordering from Uline on a Friday night to get like shipping stuff in. And what I think is so funny is that piece is so empowering, and it was to show empowerment, especially about self-love and everything else. And it's crazy because even though it was art, like, big business instantly tried to take it down and suppress that. Like,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
God. And what's crazy is even after the appeal process, like when he's reposted it, they've tried to take it down multiple times. But like that piece and the amount of people that it reached and that it empowered is huge to me, because even though there was maybe 420 orders in just that time period, it reached, what was it, like almost a million?
Yeah, it was
like
almost a million.
900, I think there's 900,000 views on it now.
I have like 30 videos from people doing the Stitch
Like,
videos
getting
on
it.
TikTok, just talking about, thank you. And it was.
I love
was
it.
really
And I didn't want to interrupt,
happy-
but I think
No,
that's
you
such
should.
an
Great.
empowerment. And it empowered him as an artist to fight for his voice, I feel, as well.
Yeah.
Like, this, you're not going to take this down. This is art. This isn't this isn't something taboo. This is something that we should be happy about.
Agree.
So
I agree. I mean, how often do artists have to constantly, especially I feel like Instagram's really been cracking down. I'm not too familiar with TikTok, but I know there's like certain words that you have to spell
Yeah.
differently
Yeah.
because they'll take it down. It's just kind of wild that this
have
is what
to
we're telling
spell-
people is not okay.
you have to
Meanwhile,
spell sex with a 3.
Yeah.
To even if you hashtag,
Yeah.
you're supposed to change it, because we're just so taboo about sex. I mean, everybody
it just feels
does it
silly
at some
to me
point.
because the things that are allowed, I'm like, oh, this is good though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
this is fine.
Extremely
Yeah, but-
unhealthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one
Oh,
here, and I'll hold it so you can.
So this is one that we talked about earlier. This is poetry in motion. Self-explanatory. But yeah, this is the third one of the series, and it's art.
Love it.
There's nothing I can do.
I can get it. I get it.
This is the fourth one of the series. Oh, sorry, the second one of the series, called My Pleasure.
I love this one.
I did too.
It's just beautiful. Honestly, I'm about it.
And to go further into my experience as a male, I've found it to be so much easier with a woman if she's more comfortable with herself. And I don't know, it's kind of crazy to say, but I guess this is why we're here. You find a woman that's comfortable pleasuring herself and know how she ticks, the communication in the bedroom, and y'all's experiences inside and outside of the bedroom are 100% better. And I think that's a kind of like a direct correlation to that. You know what I
Knowing
mean?
yourself. I mean, in general, in any interaction, even beyond sexual, beyond all of it, it's like when you take the time to know yourself and to really grow, your interactions with other people are better. You see people through a lens of love and understanding, and it just, people feel it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And
And the last one.
And the last one is called Phantom of the Opera. And so I wanted to include a lot of those kind of stem from earlier ideas in sexual experiences in my life. But this is kind of a new one because I've kind of recently been into role playing and things like that.
Okay.
And and Phantom of the Opera has a lot of passion behind it.
Nice.
And
Did you read the
TV's
mask or-
dang, you ain't tell me about this, right? And
That's what TV's been into too.
it's like, wait a minute.
Role playing parents.
It's an interesting way to spice up your nightlife and your sex life with a partner and constant communication. It's really cool to go into character and
What's been the favorite character? We gotta know.
Spider-Man.
I would Spider-Man immediately. Mary Jane, where you at?
Sorry, I couldn't help myself on that one.
Oh, man,
He
I
does
love
have
this.
Spider-Man masks.
No,
though, so
and
it would
actually-
not
You know
he's
surprise
wearing
me.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
I have worn my Spider-Man mask before, so
Oh
that
my
has,
God.
that has been a thing.
Wow, webs. Okay.
But
Never touching that thing again.
I would say the one that I did the most recently is I had a girl that I was talking to, and she said one of her fantasies was to hook up with a delivery guy.
I can't say that's wrong.
Like a pizza delivery guy? I think I've
Like
seen this
Amazon.
before.
Anyone that comes to the door,
She
it's like, I don't
specifically
have
said
any
Amazon,
money.
so I was trying to see who the Amazon guy was. Just man, I know who you're thinking about, but no, I didn't even tell her I was coming over one time, but I made a whole Amazon costume
Special delivery.
and showed up with a box. and completely stayed in character. Matter of fact, she couldn't stay. I wish she would have stayed in character more, but she couldn't. she couldn't
Just
break.
laughing at your ass.
But yeah,
She's
that's
like,
a good
what do you
night.
got to deliver to me today? I'd die. I'd be like, the hell? I want what's in the box.
No, well, that's not your fantasy.
It's very true. I'll work on that one.
I love it. Well, I think we're getting ready to wrap things up here. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of y'all. A reminder that tomorrow, 12 p.m. is the first drop, and then after that's every Wednesday. Head to nfts.richesart.com. That's the only way that you'll be able to have access. What?
I said, go get them.
Go get them straight up. And again, there's only 20 per piece of art, and then the original. So like after that, they're gone. You can't have access to them anymore. So don't come running to us.
One of one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, no more.
Will you
so
paint
get
me
'em.
another one?
No, absolutely not.
One of one.
Yeah, unless you have an experience with Rich, and then maybe he'll paint one for you.
Even then. I don't know. Every piece is a journey.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually impossible to replicate them, especially with watercolor, because the colors in the water do their own thing. You just kind of learn how to guide it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost impossible. No, I would say it's 100% impossible to replicate exactly what a watercolor painting looks like.
I bet. Well, then you heard it. You better get it because you can't get it again. So thank you again to Eastside Music School and Eastside Studios.
Yeah.
We love you guys, Austin
Appreciate
and
it,
Alex.
fellas.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Again, Tommy, Kayleigh, Rich. Thanks again to Mission Labs for making all this possible. And we will see you next week.
Bye.